name is Jon Hartman, and I'm here to talk to you tonight about attaining awesomeness through chess. Yeah. So every one of us came here tonight hungry. That fantastic appetite to do more, to be more, and use every last ounce of potential that we have. After all, we're here tonight and not at home watching DVR'd season finales of Lost. No one wants to look back on a life full of regret, yet we are finite beings in a world of infinite possibilities. Thankfully, a lot of the same strategies that help us excel in chess also help us excel in life. We need to start by keeping our world big and recognize that every action we have affects everything around us, indirectly or directly. Most people get the whats. The clever grasp the hows, and the truly great understand the whys. Or some people get none of them, as evidenced by being a role model for young girls, yet churning out songs like If You CK Me and 3. Seeing outside of ourselves is not difficult. It just requires that you actually care. When I was in 4th grade, I didn't make the basketball team. My dribbling was way too low, but nobody ever told me. Likewise, jogging, I tore my knees up something fierce, because apparently no pain, no gain doesn't apply to joints. When I was in college, I about failed out of 3rd-year statistics, because apparently I wasn't going to the voluntary study sessions where all of the practice was done. And again, no one ever told me. Before too long, I started noticing a commonality. To succeed in chess as well as life, we can't hide our mistakes and failures. We need to aggressively reach out and own them, because ultimately, the cavalry ain't coming. So that's only so far that'll take us without long-term thinking, because anyone can be awesome in the short term. But it's the person that thinks 5 moves ahead instead of 1 that ultimately ends up taking flight. So exercise, nonfiction, budgets, written goals, and even a decent night's sleep and all these other pie-in-the-sky habits we hear about in grade school. Apparently, people actually do these things. So there's a move in chess called castling. Most novice players understand the benefits and can execute the move. It's the chess equivalent of remembering to take your multivitamins and buckle up your seatbelt when you get in the car. But you combine it with something called a fianchetto, which shores up our defenses as well as advancing our position. And suddenly you recognize that it's the exercising, healthy diet, continuing education crowd that has access to opportunities that standard 8 to 5 TGIF people do not. So every skill that we pick up through experience or education is another weapon in our arsenal, because our world has shifted to one of personal accountability in every area imaginable. We do not want to be the one bringing the knife to the gunfight. So people commonly study opening moves, just going for the quick win. This is the chess version of the blog post that contains nothing but bulleted lists. Not Josh Waitzkin, the subject of the 1993 movie Searching for Bobby Fischer. He focused on the long game. And while the games progressed, his opponents got weaker while he got stronger, because he focused on what mattered most, recognizing that busyness is not necessarily progress. Woody Allen said that 90% of life is just showing up. And you know he's right. Don't ever fear failure or hypocrisy, because every person out there that's successful has at one point in time been both of those. A friend of mine was always trying different projects, and some had moderate levels of success, but at one point in time, his wife approached him and said, "Hey, I just finished this great series called Twilight." And he said, "Hey, I'll write you a fan fiction website where people can upload their own stories and you can moderate them." Shortly thereafter, it was announced there was going to be a movie. And his traffic statistics went from about 10,000 hits per month to about 10 million per day. The man's timing wasn't perfect because he was lucky. It was because he never stopped. So in the book Good to Great, the author mentions that the opposite of great is actually good. And he goes on to explain why not to settle for mediocrity, because when you factor in all the extra junk that great people don't have to deal with, it's no extra work. To be clear, the answers aren't in the White House, they're in our house. Keeping your world big, owning your mistakes, thinking long term, and just taking the field are enough to head off most problems before they even start. To be clear, I am a work in progress just as much as any of us, and I would love to hear about your own stories and the journey towards awesomeness. If you decide that half the world out there is below average, then apparently we've got a good head start.